What's up everyone, John from ARTV. It's time for a review of the debut album from an exciting new pop rock, pop punk band, Waterparks. It's called Double Dare, and that's already a callback to some classic childhood things and terms for me, so I was excited to check this project out. I had heard some of their stuff. I checked them out for the first time after hearing that they were opening for Good Charlotte as a part of their comeback. Right after Makeshift Love, the single by Good Charlotte, dropped, they announced these shows and of course their new album Youth Authority, and apparently Waterparks are now managed by the Madden brothers. That's kind of exciting for them. I'm sure as a pop punk band it's exciting to have someone mentoring that you looked up to initially whenever you were kids. So how did Waterparks turn out? Were their EPs really a reflection of what was to come on their debut full-length? I don't fully think so, because this album is the best that I have ever heard them sounding, and it really just kind of blew me away with just how fun and meshing of different genres it is. It molds perfectly pop punk, pop rock, and modern electronic sounds, and somehow makes it into a very euphoric and just entrancing listen. It's something that you don't want to take your ears off of. And 44 minutes for a debut pop punk album, but a band that most people don't even know, that might seem a little bit risky, but honestly, they make great use of this time, and I can't really say any of these songs are complete throwaways. There's not one song that I could sit here, highlight, point out, and say that's the one that we need to cut. There's ones that I don't like as much as others. I feel like they have their weaknesses and their strengths, but of course, as a whole, this album is easy to just take in and listen to from start to finish. One thing you'll instantly notice about this band is their charisma, especially their vocalist Austin. I think he sounds fantastic the majority of the time. He can hit a variety of ranges and bring a wide variety of emotions to the listener as a result of that. He can slow things down, like on 21 Questions or even Powerless. And then of course you've got some of the more zany off-the-wall tracks like Take Her to the Moon and Gloom, which is one of my favorite songs lyrically, just because it deals with himself as a writer. And a lot of this album is very reflective, reminiscent of some of the earlier pop punk bands in the 2000s, but what they're doing differently is adding new things to the sound so it keeps from getting stale. It's not the whole doom and gloom the whole time. It really does take on relationships, other things, but it also tackles things from a young person's perspective, and I like hearing that a whole lot. There's one track in particular called Plum that I thought did a fantastic job of really exploring that. It's one of the more aggressive songs musically. There's a lot of loud guitars in that one. That one's kind of in your face. That and Little Violence I think were really, really cool, and mixing in some of the keyboards and program sounds, and then also adding and layering in some more aggressive vocals, and I think they sound fantastic. But on the song Plum Island, they seem to be reflecting on just their state and their place in the music scene, and I like it whenever bands take a look back and just say, all right, this is what they're wanting us to do, this is what we are wanting to do, where do we meet in the middle, or do we just stay ourselves? What do we do here? The band signed to Equal Vision Records about a year ago, last November, and it's really exciting to see where they've come and the album that they made as a result of maybe some of the mentoring, and I think this song in particular is just a big reflection on their past year. I mentioned Gloom earlier too, because that's another very self-aware song. I mean, obviously there's a lot of fun, uplifting moments here that you can just kind of cut loose, dance to, but this is one in particular that does have a very danceable feel to it. I love the vocal things, especially on the chorus, kind of the stuttered, "You're so gone." That sounds really, really good. I like that, and how they did it even on the intro track, Hawaii Stay Awake, the nice little sampling that they did all throughout there, and the electronics mixed with some really, really infectious guitar melodies. But it's a great start of the album, and with Gloom, it just sees them talking about their writing style here, and obviously the lead singer Austin is saying, I like being able to write from a perspective where I can talk about something negative but put a really cool spin on it, because he's been inspired by that, and he knows that he's not the first to do it, but he knows that he wants to do it well. And I love just the fast-paced vocal delivery of that. I like writing songs. I don't know, it's just a really, really melodic and infectious tune. If you're looking to dance, there's a great section kind of near the start of this album, back to back to back to back 4 in a row just totally deliver, and I like how varied they are lyrically, but those songs are Stupid for You, which was the lead single from this project, Royal, Take Her to the Moon, and Made in America. 4 fantastic cuts that I just didn't expect from this young band. I hate that I kind of just wasn't really prepared for this album. I listened to it thinking, oh, this will be a couple of listens. I don't even know if I'll review it. Maybe I'll talk about it on Twitter. No, this is something that I instantly heard these songs and I was like, I have to drop a review on these guys because they have so much enigma, so much charisma, and a genuine talent about them. Stupid for You is one of the catchiest songs that I have heard all year. If you can just kind of cut loose, hear the song for what it is, I don't know, you'll just hear it over and over and over again. The cutting guitars mixed in with the really high falsettos that hit and register during the chorus of this song, it's extremely memorable, a huge highlight on this album. That's followed up instantly by Royal, which is one where he's saying we're not big yet, we're not at the place that we want to be, but we're going to keep pushing even though there is some self-doubt and self-loathing there at times, maybe blaming yourself for why you're not at the top. But it's a really interesting tune, and I think it plays out in a very catchy and effervescent way that's really just tangible to the listener and very relatable for a lot of people because you want to reach this goal or whatever it may be. You're not quite there yet, and I like the uncertainty here, but it's matched kind of with that instrumental that's a little bit more uplifting. So we see that Austin is taking on this persona more and more as Waterparks evolve as a band and writing these songs that are gloomy at their heart but might have a little bit of an uplifting instrumental to kind of vary that and contrast and kind of confuse the listener, and I love that. And after that, we get the danciest song on this entire album, Take Her to the Moon. It keeps the real traditional instruments at a minimum and turns the dance up to full throttle. It's a huge throbbing chorus and it sounds really energetic. I love the guys, just how they're presenting themselves on this track. It's a ton of fun, pretty much irresistible. And then Made in America, some nice commentary there that I wasn't really expecting on this pop punk, pop rock album. It's something that the chorus especially is just a little bit, it's very self-aware, kind of dark in a way, and I like that they bring this sense to the album. Then later in the record, we do still have some interesting songs. It's not one of those albums that really just fades out, gets tiring, you don't want to hear the rest of the songs. No, there's actually some great stuff packed in there. It Follows is one that I'm really liking the more I hear it. I had to give it repeated listens, and I like that they're referencing some of my favorite horror movies of the 2010s. Fuck, it's named after It Follows, a fantastic film. If you've never seen it, please check it out. It's not the most terrifying thing in the world, but the way that it's done is just eerie and chilling. And this song kind of echoes the sentiments of horror movies. The city is insidious, and that's something that's obviously referenced once again. And I'm not going to say that I'm a huge fan of all of the vocal deliveries on this one, and I think the chorus does miss the mark just a bit, but it's one that I'm coming around on more and more. A huge favorite of mine would have to be 21 Questions. That's one that starts off as an acoustic, just down-to-earth song, and I find myself relating to the lyrics of this song big time. There's a few lines right near the start of this thing that are just like, whoa, they're way on the nose. This is way too accurate for me. And I like that this song also kind of builds in intensity. Even though the lyrics are the same in its final verse where the electric guitars and the drums kick in big time, I love that building bridge. Sure, it's something that's been done before, but I like that these guys put their own touch on it. There's a couple of songs that I'm not a huge fan of scattered throughout this album. Powerless is one that feels a little bit limited in what it can do, and I'll always be around. While I do like the instrumental on it, I can't say that I find myself really getting into the lyrical content or even the vocal performance on that track all that much. Fortunately, there are others surrounding that make up for the ones that I don't care for as much. Track number 7 is one that I'm thoroughly enjoying. Dizzy is a fantastic song, and maybe I'm just relating to it because it's talking about being 24. That's my current age right now while I'm listening to it, but it's kind of talking about your place in the world and how everything is changing as you mature and grow up. And it's not the best song on this album, but it is one that I still can't resist tapping my foot along to and just kind of nodding and vibing with the lyrical content and the musicality of the track. And the final one that I have to get a mention to is one of my absolute favorites here, Little Violence. I think I touched on it briefly earlier, but it's one that really just picks up the energy. I like that it's layering the electronics and the guitars. It starts off with that loud intro. It's just kind of in your face right off the bat, and kind of the shouted vocals on this one of the most aggressive vocal performances from Austin, and it really just goes to show that they are a very diverse band. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of the debut album by Waterparks, Double Dare. I'm really enjoying this thing. Very high replay factor. I found myself listening to it over and over again. I hope you guys will check it out because I know these dudes aren't that well known yet. So hopefully you will give them the time of day, give this album a chance. Me personally, I am going to go with a 4 out of 5 for Double Dare. Thanks for watching the review today, guys. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you have not already, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. If you'd like to, check out a couple of recent reviews that I have done. Check those links right below me. You can click on those. It'll take you right over there. You can find all of my social media at these links here. They're all in the description. And other than that, I will see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.